Dear viewers, the show will begin in 2 minutes. The show will begin in 1 minute. The show is about to begin. Grab a drink, a snack, and please sit back, relax, and enjoy this show.
Please like and leave a comment, and share this video.
Welcome to Live Show 88, Invasion or Illusion, the day the Earth stops still. Coming to you from a very cooler Minsk, Belarus on this Wednesday, October 16th, 2024, streaming live on Rumble and YouTube. We've got a fantastic show lined up for you tonight. We'll kick off things with a discussion about aliens, extraterrestrials, not illegal aliens, asking the big question, is an alien invasion coming as a false flag to usher in a one world government? From there, we'll dive into the World Economic Forum, Elon Musk's statement that AI and robots will lead to mass employment as he unveils his latest robot. We'll also cover phone hacking by authorities, the Australian Prime Minister showing that he simply doesn't care. Ukraine propaganda and pimping, it's different. NATO exercises, some fresh EU news, China flexing its military muscle, the genocidal attacks continuing in the Middle East, an update on the US presidential election with accusations against Tim Walz, plus a Diddy update, and of course our fan favourite segment, You Don't See That in Belarus. A few quick apologies before we begin. No Belarus news tonight, we ran out of time, and our in-studio guest couldn't make it due to the weather conditions. It's very, very wet the last couple of days, but hopefully he'll join us on the next show. And a special apology to Alex White, who we had discussions with in our last show. Our AI subtitle service mistakenly changed what I said from yes, agree to that, to disagree to that in our Ukraine-Russian discussion. And just to clear things up, I did agree with Alex on that point. Alright, let's get on with tonight's show.
Could be wrong, I could be right.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we stand on the precipice of the known, looking out into the vast uncharted territories of space, where each twinkling star might just be the whispering secrets of a cosmos directly into our ears. Consider this, in our recent times our skies have become the stage for events that stretch the very fabric of our understanding. We've heard tales not from fringes, but from the lips of those who walked in the hallowed halls of the Pentagon, speaking of sights that defy explanation. Drones, of what we might call drones, but with capabilities that make our most advanced technology seems like child's play. They dance in our skies with a grace that suggests not just flight, but their understanding of physics we're only beginning to grasp. And now whispers have turned into murmurs about the object, not just floating passively through the void, but actively changing direction on its journey towards Earth. An object with intent, purpose. This isn't just a rock tumbling through space. This hints at navigation, at choice, at intelligence. Now let's take a moment to ponder the implications of life found around a distant star. Not life as the little green men, not yet, but the building blocks of signatures that scream out to us from light years away saying, "You are not alone." Microbial or otherwise, life elsewhere redefines our place in the universe. We're not just no longer the lone oasis in the desert of darkness. We might just be one pond in the universe teeming with life. Now weave these threads together. A mothership, UFO perhaps, not just of this Earth, directing its envoys in our atmosphere. An object with an uncanny ability to change its path, heading our way. The spectral hints of life from the depths of space. What picture does this paint? It is as if we are on the cusp of a cosmic revelation. Each sighting, each scientific discovery is like a piece of the puzzle falling into place. Are those events connected? Is the universe, through this phenomena, initiating a dialogue with us? Imagine, if you will, that these are not mere coincidence, but a part of a grander narrative. An invitation, perhaps, to join a larger community, a cosmic neighborhood, where we're no longer the new kids on the block, but novices ready to learn, to interact, to understand. The question isn't just, are we alone anymore? It's, are we ready? Ready to redefine what it means to be human in a universe where our uniqueness might just be our ignorance of the vast, vibrant life that surrounds us. So, as we continue to gaze upward, let's not just watch the skies for what might come to us. Let's prepare ourselves for what we might venture out to meet. For in this grand tapestry of existence, each sighting, each anomaly, each whisper from the stars is a thread pulling us towards an inevitable truth. The universe is full of surprises, and it's high time we kept our eyes, minds and hearts open to the endless possibilities. So stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep your eyes on the skies. The universe isn't just out there, it's reaching out for us. I could be wrong, and I could be right. Let me know in the comments below.
Could be wrong. I could be right.
Now let's gather around as we delve into the tale that seems ripped from the pages of a sci-fi epic, but according to the retired senior Pentagon official, this might just be hovering over the thin line between fiction and reality. Langley Air Force Base, located in Hampton, Virginia, has been the site of unidentified aerial vehicles, UAVs, activity over the sensitive military facility for 7 consecutive days. Reports the Pentagon is stumped. The US officials don't know who's behind the drones, and that they've flown unhindered over sensitive national security sites, or how to stop them. So imagine, if you will, a quiet night on the US military base, perhaps somewhere in the vast starlight deserts or the secretive dense forests where America's defense strategies are honed. The silence is suddenly broken, not by the sound of jet engines or the march of boots, by the eerie hum of drones. Not just any drones, but ones that seemingly dance in the sky with lights red, green and white, moving with the agility that defies our understanding of aerodynamics. Now, these aren't your run-of-the-mill drones bought off the shelf for recreational spying or photography. No! These are harbingers of a mystery, one that has, according to the whispers from the corridors of power, led to an emergency meetings in the highest echelons of the White House. This retired senior Pentagon official has come forward with a claim that chills the spine. These drones are not of this Earth. They are, he asserts, operated by what he chillingly refers to as a mothership UFO. Picture this, a colossal craft lurking just beyond the reach of our most advanced radar systems. A behemoth in the sky from which these smaller, nimble drones are dispatched. They target our military bases, not with missiles or bombs, but with their mere presence, challenging our notion of air superiority, probing our defenses, perhaps testing our reactions, or maybe, just maybe, attempting to communicate in the language of lights and speed. The official claims and paints a picture of the Pentagon both baffled and intrigued. Here we have Langley, home of the stealthiest of fighters, the F-22 Raptors, now seemingly under surveillance by an intelligence that doesn't just watch it interacts, albeit in a most anonamic way. But why? Why would such an advanced civilization capable of interstellar travel engage in what seems a cat and mouse game with our military? Here's where the story takes an even more intriguing turn. Are they preparing for something larger, or is this their way of saying, we are here and we are watching? The notion of a mothership controlling these drones adds layers to the UFO lore. It suggests a hierarchy of strategy, perhaps even an intention to engage, not in warfare, but in a display of presence, of technology and superiority, or perhaps an invitation to a cosmic dance we are yet to understand. This story, while sounding like a plot of an oncoming blockbuster, raises questions about our place in the universe, about defense, secrecy, and the thin veil between what we consider science fiction and what might be science waiting to be understood. So as we look up at the night sky, let's ponder, are we on the brink of a new era where unknown becomes known? Where the U in the UFO shifts to unidentified, to understood, or time and perhaps those lights in the sky will tell. So stay tuned for a universe that might just be full of surprises, and always keep up with your eyes to the sky. The echoes of Earth, the gathering of entities. Envision this: Earth, a shimmering blue marble adrift in the vast inky expanse of the cosmic sea, has become an epicenter of an event so extraordinary that it has captured the rapt attention of beings from realms far beyond our physical reality. This phenomena, which the visionary Robert Monroe termed the gathering, whispers to us the profound truth: we are not solitary travelers in our odyssey through existence. But what indeed does this gathering signify? Picture now, if you will, beings not of flesh but of pure energy, intellect and spirit, entities hailing from a diverse dimensions, distant galaxies, or perhaps from planes of existence that defy our understanding. They converge here not with the intent to alter our path, but to bear witness. We find ourselves at a crossroads of cosmic import, where every choice, every moment holds the weight of the universe's gaze. Here on this minuscule speck amid the cosmos, humanity is undergoing a transformation so captivating, so pivotal, that it has summoned the audience from across the astral planes. Why have they come, you might wonder? Their curiosity is piqued by our leaps of our consciousness, our wrestling with technologies that hold the keys to utopia or oblivion, our delicate dance with ecology, balance of our planet, our spiritual awakening. These watchers, adhering to the ancient universal edict of non-intervention, observe us with the fascination of scholars peering into the microcosms of life. Yet, their interest transcends mere academia. Our decisions, our growth, our moments of defeat and victory might just unravel mysteries or solve conundrums that echo through the cosmos. Imagine now every decision we make sending out ripples across the cosmic pond, not merely disturbing the waters around us, but potentially reshaping the contours of far-off shores. This is not a narrative confined to our world alone. It's about how evolutionary leap of one small planet might weave new patterns into the very fabric of reality. So here we are, perched on the brink of a grand evolutionary leap. Or does this gathering serve as a cosmic mirror, reflecting back at our inner turmoil and urging us towards introspection and self-transformation? The presence of these celestial observers could well indicate that our collective story, our myths, our scientific ventures, our expanding consciousness forms an integral thread in the immense universal tapestry. Here, every thread, regardless of apparent insignificance, plays a significant role in the unfolding of the grand design. As we stand here under the watchful eyes of the cosmos, contemplating our role in this vast universal auditorium, let us reflect on the message we wish to broadcast through our deeds. Are we passive players on this stage, or can we aspire to be co-authors, actively shaping a narrative that extends its reach into the depths of the cosmos? Let us consider, with the gravity it deserves, the legacy we are crafting, not just for ourselves, but for the universe's watching in silent anticipation. There's a lot of buzz around the James Webb Space Telescope, and whispers of discovering alien life. It's hard to say if we're really on the verge of an announcement or if there's just smoke and mirrors. But let's entertain the idea that the announcement does come through. I'm skeptical that it would be a genuine breakthrough. Instead, it might be just the start of a calculated agenda. Back in the day, I might have seen this as a step forward of some form of open disclosure, something thrilling. But now, my perspective has shifted. I'm wary of what the government might unveil. Why now, you ask? Here's my take. The global power players might feel the ground shifting under their feet as more people wake up and start questioning the status quo. Topics that were once untouchable are now up for debate. In this climate, introducing the concept of an alien life could be their trump card to push for a unified global governance under the guise of needing a united front against an extraterrestrial threat. And I've considered the various endgame scenarios, like kicking off World War III or staging a nuclear event only for our alien saviours to step in. But there's a hitch. Too many might see these aliens not as saviours but as invaders or even demonic entities, thanks to widespread religious beliefs. So I'm leaning towards something less divisive, more like what we've seen in the movies like Independence Day. Here's how I see it potentially playing out. They'll announce finding intelligent life, alien life, perhaps an object that suspiciously changes direction towards Earth, as we've mentioned before. They'll spin tales of past encounters like Roswell as part of the long-term reconnaissance mission and claim that we've been prepping with reverse-engineered tech. A call for global unity under one government will follow, presenting some form of global defensive mechanism. Then expect a staged alien incursion, some real-world chaos, and a mock battle leading to significant loss and reshaping of the world order. After victoriously fending off this manufactured threat, what's left of humanity would likely rally behind this new world order, not realizing the invaders were part of the plan all along. It's a classic problem-reaction-solution strategy, where the same powers remain at the helm, now hailed as heroes. This scenario seems most plausible to me because it serves multiple agendas without the risk of alienating, pun intended, large segments of the population based on their beliefs about aliens. What's your take? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And SPACEX made history this week with the landing of the huge 19-story first stage of the rocket that Elon Musk plans to go to Mars. The first stage of the rocket was caught by the tower that it had launched from. There are many who say this was CGI, but there are multiple videos shot by many people from different angles and locations around the area, making those who say it was CGI look like fools. Really. Let's watch this and listen.
Tower with arms that are designed to catch the largest and heaviest flying object ever made and pluck it out of the air. I mean, that's the theory anyway. So
Elon just said, delete the legs, delete. We're like, well, what's like, you just use the arms, and then you said it again. I mean, they go, wow, he's serious. Okay, we better get on this. And now it seems normal. Or
it'll weigh about 250 tons. We'll make that lighter over time. So you're gonna, cool it a couple hundred tons, plummeting at more than half the speed of sound. So this thing is still coming in really fast.
Yeah.
Pretty much down in a downward direction. So then the light the engines, so it's going to slow itself down very fast and correct any error. So like whatever the XY error is when the engines land, it's going to take out that XY error and then drop the velocity to basically zero. Come in between the arms. The arms will be wide, and as it's coming in, the arms will close, go flush against the side of the vehicle, and the vehicle will be descending through the arms. And those tiny little, you can barely see them, the little knobs, those kind of lifting lugs will touch the top of the arms, and then it will hopefully not shear off and crumple. Success is one of the possible outcomes. The probability is uncertain, but it is above zero.
Mr. You'll eat the bugs and be happy, Klaus Schwab, recently stated in an interview that the world will no longer be governed by traditional superpowers like the USA, Russia or China, but instead stakeholders like BlackRock, Bill Gates and AI-driven systems. I talked to this with Alex White on the previous show. So let's watch and listen to him, Mr. Bugs himself, in this interview.
Who will really command the fourth industrial revolution and its technology like artificial intelligence?
What's your sense of who's best placed at this time to lead the world into the fourth industrial revolution? Because you pretty much created this term. We're seeing the kind of technological strides that China has made with Huawei, with the 5G technology. Do you believe that this could potentially be China's time once again?
We should make here again let's say a differentiation. On the one hand, we have state capitalism. On the other hand, we have shareholder or private capitalism. So it's a clash between two systems. I believe that state capitalism in the short term provides certain advantages because you can mobilize in a concentrated way a lot of resources to reach a specific objective. But I believe that the future is not state capitalism or shareholder capitalism. The future is what I call stakeholder capitalism, which is combined with the social responsibility.
So how do you see this shift playing out? Do you think this marks the end of nation-state dominance? What are the potential consequences for global governance when corporations and AI hold more influence than governments? Leave your answers and thoughts in the comment section below. We would really like to hear what you think. And speaking of eating the bugs, this video shows how they are starting to brainwash the kids in schools to think eating bugs is normal and they taste nice. Watch this video from a school in the Netherlands.
Buiten deze heerlijke plantaardige gerechten heb ik namelijk ook een zakje met meelwormen. Ja? Oké. 3, 2, 1.
Let's not to forget Dr. Doom, Yuval Harari, who has said countless times what to do with all these useless people. He says basically they are meaningless and worthless. Let's watch him.
How to produce bodies and brains and minds, so cheap labor in Africa or South Asia or wherever, it simply counts for nothing. Again, I think that the biggest question maybe in economics and politics of the coming decades will be what to do with all these useless people. I don't think we have an economic model for that. My best guess, which is just a guess, is that food will not be a problem. With that kind of technology, you will be able to produce food to feed everybody. The problem is more boredom and what to do with them, and how will they find some sense of meaning in life when they are basically meaningless, worthless. My best guess at present is a combination of drugs and computer games.
And do you think Elon Musk is any better than Yuval Harari? Let's have a look. Elon Musk and the technocratic right from universal basic income to universal high income. In 2017, Elon Musk said there will be fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. I think we will just end up doing basic universal basic income. It's going to be necessary. The much harder challenge is how people then will have meaning. Let's watch him.
Fewer and fewer jobs that a robot cannot do better. Okay. What to do about mass unemployment? This is going to be a massive social challenge. And I think ultimately we will have to have some kind of universal basic income. I don't think we're going to have a choice.
Universal basic income.
Universal basic income. I think it's going to be necessary.
So it means that unemployed people will be paid across the globe.
Yeah.
Because there is no job, machine, robot is taking over.
That's simply and I want to be clear that these are not things that I think that I wish would happen. These are simply things that I think probably will happen. And if my assessment is correct and they probably will happen, then we need to say, what are we going to do about it? And I think some kind of a universal basic income is going to be necessary. Now, the output of goods and services will be extremely high. So with automation, there will come abundance. There will be almost everything will get very cheap.
So consuming more and more resources from the earth, and more pollution, and the rich will get richer. And how about make things just slightly more expensive and people can have a job and meaning?
So I think I think we'll just end up doing a universal basic income. It's going to be necessary. The harder challenge, much harder challenge, is how do people then have meaning? Like a lot of people, they derive their meaning from their employment. So if you don't have, if you're not needed, if there's not a need for your labor, how do you, what's the meaning?
Well, that's where Harari's theory comes in. It'll be drugs and computer games.
Do you have meaning? Do you feel useless? That's a much harder problem to deal with.
Now, fast forward to 2024, and Musk's perspective has evolved. In a benign scenario, probably none of us will have a job. There will be universal high income, not universal basic income, but universal high income. There will be no shortage of goods or services. The question will really be one of meaning. If the computers and robots can do everything better than you, does your life have meaning? I do think there's perhaps still a role for humans in this, in that we may give AI meaning. Let's watch the video and see what he says.
I mean, we do get into some existential questions here. In a benign scenario, we probably none of us will have a job. There will be, but in that benign scenario, there will be universal high income, not universal basic income, universal high income. There will be no shortage of goods or services. And I think the benign scenario is the most likely scenario, probably, I don't know, 80% likely, if you ask, in my opinion. The question will not be one of lacking goods or services. You'll have, everyone will have access to as much in the way of goods and services as they would like. The question will really be one of meaning, of how, if the computer can do, and the robots can do everything better than you, then does your life have meaning? That's really what will be the question in the benign scenario. And in the negative scenario, well, bets are off. We're in deep trouble. So I do think there's perhaps still a role for humans in this, in that we may give AI meaning, but I do think that long term, in a benign scenario, any job that somebody does will be optional. Like if you want to do a job as kind of like a hobby, you can do a job, but otherwise the AI and the robots will provide any goods and services that you want.
Okay, so you see, there is a future where no one will need to work. It will be just passion.
So that is the most likely outcome.
Notice the shift in 2017. Musk discussed UBI as a necessary safety net for those left behind by automation. But by 2024, the narrative has changed. Now, it's not just about basic income, it's about universal high income, a future where AI and automation take over all production, leaving humans without jobs, but theoretically with no lack of material goods. Yet behind this utopian vision lies the unsettling question: if machines surpass us in every task, what purpose do we have? Musk hints at a dystopian future hiding in plain sight. His suggestion that humans may exist to give meaning to AI flips the script. Rather than technology serving humanity, humans may end up serving the machines. This isn't just futurism, it's the new face of the technocratic right, where technology isn't simply embraced but revered as the ultimate power. For those who still see Musk as a rogue billionaire standing up to the establishment, consider this. His close alignment with figures like Donald Trump reveals a deeper connection to the technocratic right. These rising elites aren't seeking to dismantle power structures, they're redefining them through the use of technology. Musk's vision of the future, governed by AI, under the guise of a universal high income, fits perfectly within their goals of consolidating wealth and control. Musk identifies a real challenge. How do we find meaning in a world where labour is obsolete? But look closely on how he frames the question. It's not about how we reclaim our dignity or autonomy beyond work, it's about how we fit into their vision. Perhaps Musk suggests we become caretakers of AI's meaning, like priests tending to the new digital deity. This isn't a story of human liberation, it's a subtle narrative of submission disguised as progress. The AI revolution Musk envisaged doesn't free us from labour, it redefines our existence, tethering us to machines in a symbiotic relationship where our value is measured not by our creativity or humanity, but our usefulness to the algorithms. And here lies the great bait and switch. Musk's vision isn't about empowering the masses, but about perfecting a system of control. His rhetoric may sound altruistic, but it's clear where he stands in the balance of power. This isn't about escaping the old elite, it's about embracing a new, tech-driven order that's just about hierarchical and controlling. The only difference is that now the power lies in the silicon instead of the human hands. Musk's transition from UBI to universal high income reflects a deeper ideological shift, moving from the idea of safety nets to engineered dependence. The question is, when robots do the work and algorithms make the decisions, who will decide what role we play? And more important, who holds the power of that future? And in the next few videos you'll see what Musk has just released in the last few days, his robots. So let's have a look.
But fundamentally at scale, the Optimus robot, you should be able to buy an Optimus robot for, I think, probably $20,000 to $30,000 long term. So, and what can it do? It'll basically do anything you want. So it can be a teacher, babysit your kids, it can walk your dog, mow your lawn, get the groceries, just be your friend, serve drinks, whatever you can think of, it will do. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. I think this will be the biggest product ever of any kind. Yeah.
Come say hi. All right.
What's up, bro?
Heading to the right.
To the right. Right here. To your left. To your left. There you go, man. 2 Chainz, how you doing?
What's up?
Hey, buddy, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
I'm Optimus.
Okay. My name is Tony.
Tony?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Tony.
Nice to meet you too, buddy. Hey, can you
awesome.
can you play basketball? Can you shoot like jump shots?
Maybe one day.
I'll teach
Can
you.
you?
I'll teach you.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
Thank you, brother.
Much appreciated.
All right, man. You like Balenciaga? I got an outfit for you.
Really?
Yeah, I got an outfit for you.
Awesome. That's cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm about to order you. Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna order you, and then I'll see you in another couple months. Okay.
I'll see you.
I'll see you. All right.
Awesome.
Bye.
Excuse me, personal space, please. Thank you.
Please don't. Hey, Optimus.
Oh. Man.
All right, well, nice to meet you.
you.
Oops. Let me try it again. Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
First, what's your name?
Samir.
All right, welcome. Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Too many people. All right, I'll take it.
This one? Can you please tell me a joke?
Yeah, man.
All right, that's fine. Enjoy.
And will this be the future? Robot romance revealed. Women will be having more sex with robots than men by 2025. That's according to a professional who also thinks robot sex will be more common than human intercourse by 2050. And we just remind everybody about hackers. Hackers have taken control of robot vacuums in multiple cities, and they've been yelling racial slurs. So just remember that with all these robots. The UK and most likely all other Western countries now have this device, so police can now have the capability to download data from your phone even when out needing password access. Let's watch. So let's have a look at this device and see what it can do. On the BBC News, this is a type of machine being used by police to extract data from people's phones. This is what it can find.
Call logs, chats, cookies, device notifications, emails, instant messages, passwords.
You can see deleted conversations on encrypted apps like WhatsApp and Signal. Millie's deleted web browsing history.
Hopefully nothing too embarrassing.
Contact information for everyone she's spoken to, the locations of all her calls.
And you can see other people's phone numbers. So obviously got more.
Can you see their messages to you?
Yeah.
So the police are getting information about people that you've contacted who have nothing to do with the arrest that might have happened.
Exactly, and who may have contacted me securely about work using Signal. I think the most worrying is that this can happen on arrest, even when charges are never even brought. It can also happen to witnesses and to victims. There seems to be nothing clear in terms of deletion, so it seems like the police can effectively do what they want when they obtain your phone.
It's a scary amount of information. It's also so useful for the police. This is going to be so important in investigations.
Of course. The trouble is, at the moment, you don't need a warrant to obtain any of this. There has to be a degree of involvement of checks and balances that says, well, do you know what, in this case, it's not necessary or proportionate. You don't need this person's phone.
Well, someone needs an app to scrub all the data. Let's talk about Australian politics for a moment, shall we? But not the usual chatter about left versus right. No, let's dive into something deeper, something that eats at the core of our governance, which can be seen in all Western so-called democracies, the sheer lack of care. Australia's Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's recent purchase of a $4.3 million cliff-top mansion isn't what gets under my skin. It's not even his environmental stance while securing an oceanfront property or his lectures on living costs while hiking up property taxes. Imagine evicting a tenant into today's housing market while all preaching affordability. The man speaks on the grocery prices, yet where are the actions against the economic structures causing these issues? The NDIS, meant to aid, now burns through funds like wildfire, fueled by government borrowing. And the unions? They're given a free rein, making employment costs soar, gobbling up job value like it's nothing. But here's the kicker. It's not just a hypocrisy of spending over $400 million on a divisive referendum, or making light of serious conditions in Parliament, or even the unprecedented immigration rates. No, what really grinds my gears is this apparent indifference. Albanese, up there in his soon-to-be retired mansion, seems detached from the public housing to the lodge. His journey's been one of personal elevation, not national betterment. It's like he's saying, play the game, wait your turn, and you too can secure your future while the country present crumbles. This is his new waterfront mansion here. Don't know who this guy is. Don't worry about him. If Albanese and his crew took the moment to reflect on the state of Australia from where and when they took the helm, would they sleep at night? Or is their strategy to enjoy the perks while they can? We're stuck here following laws we didn't ask for, paying taxes for a lifestyle we can't afford, watching accountability becomes a myth. Bad decisions in office, they just don't vanish. They chip away at everybody's lives, everybody's futures in Australia. And this dance of deceit, where politicians enrich their circles, where crime gets a slap on the wrist, where bureaucracy grows fat and lazy, does anyone in the power care? It doesn't look like it. It's not about begrudging success, it's about resenting the wreckage left in its wake. We need a government in Australia that does a 180, or soon there'll be nothing left to salvage. I'm calling for people who care, truly care about getting Australia back on track, because this isn't a game, and there should be repercussions for playing with the nation's fate, not rewards. Okay, over to Ukraine. Let's bust some propaganda in Ukraine. Let's get to it. Number 10. Ukraine is a democracy. That's false. The last fair and free election in Ukraine, not held under an ultra-nationalist jackboot after the 2014 coup, was in 2020. All elections in Ukraine have been suspended since 2022, and Zelensky's 5-year term from 2019 expired months ago. Number 9. Russia is an autocracy. That's false. Vladimir Putin and United Russia enjoy approval ratings among the Russian public that is extremely high. Even polling conducted by Western-backed anti-Putin organizations, Putin is popular enough to win any election held in Russia handily. Number 8. There are no Nazis in Ukraine. Come on. Ukraine's founding fathers Bandera and the UNUPA, the Galicia SS, Nazis and Nazi collaborators, many implicated in the worst crimes in the Holocaust, Ukraine's most prestigious military units packed with the rafters with Nazis. Number 7. Ukraine is a victim of Russian colonialism. Nikita Khrushchev grew up in the Donbass and considered himself to be Ukrainian. Leonid Brezhnev was born and raised in Ukraine. Both brought home a great deal of bacon for their home, SSR. Khrushchev gave it the Crimea in 1954. Number 6. The Russians expected to take Kiev in 3 days. That is false and nonsensical. This memetic talking point seems to have originated with the US Army General Milley, then the CJCS. No Russian official ever claimed such a claim, or made such a claim, nor did the Kremlin show any desire to overthrow Zelensky in 2022. And this can be seen in the fact that the Russians started negotiations with the Ukrainian government immediately after invading. Why would they negotiate with people they planned to topple? Of note, the US Army took 3 weeks to take Baghdad in Iraq in 2003. Number 5. The Russians have taken enormous casualties in Ukraine. False. In real terms, the best data available, Mediazona's count of military obituaries plus publicized casualty figures from the separatist republics, show no more than 80,000 Russian military KIA over the entire war. And related, the Russians have lost a huge amount of equipment in Ukraine. False. In real terms, the Russian military is far larger, far more lethal, and far better equipped than it was in 2022, with the once rare vehicles like the T-90Ms now quite common. Number 4. Ukrainians want to fight. That's false. Enormous numbers of Ukrainian men have fled the country. Some of them are paying eye-watering bribes and facing great dangers rather than face conscription. And the Ukraine military is fed by press gangs ruthlessly sweeping for conscripts. You can see lots of those videos on Telegram. Number 3. Russian invasion was unprovoked. False. If the last 2.5 years have shown us anything, it is that by 2022 Ukraine was an armed camp, spoiling for war and run by people with fanatical hatred for Russia and Russians. Putin gave Zelensky exactly what he asked for. Number 2. Russia is committing genocide in Ukraine. False. The UN has identified slightly over 10,000 civilians killed during the 2.5 years of the war thus far, which is complete opposite to what's happening in Gaza and Lebanon by the Israelis. Meanwhile, the Ukrainian language enjoys official status in Russian Kherson and Zaporozhye and Tatar in Crimea. And number 1, any negotiations with Putin are appeasement. The only route to Ukrainian victory in this war is for NATO to go to war with Russia, and that will not happen. Ergo, our policy choice is an acknowledgement of Russian victory now, or have them rub it in our faces later. Still on Ukraine, let's look at Vitaly Klitschko by Dana Pachenko. She posted this on Twitter, or X, and we thought people would like to see it. Shout out to Dana. So she said, today I'll introduce to you the king of sex industry in Ukraine, Vitaly Klitschko. He controls the biggest network of strip clubs, 100 brothels only in Kiev. He sells hundreds of girls to the EU and the US. He sells drugs in Ukraine. He's also under investigation for corruption and state treason. Femen arranged meetings against Klitschko and called him the kind of sex industry. His brothel, called the Rio, according to journalists, appears in the records of the Interpol as a transit supplier of Ukrainian sex slaves on the world market. Klitschko lives in the same house with the 2 most luxurious brothels, this one here, and he takes the money himself. One of them occupies a bomb shelter where people are forced to hide from Russian attacks. According to journalists, up to 200 girls are being held there. The National Anti-Corruption Bureau has opened a case against Mayor Vitaly Klitschko for embezzlement and treason. Billions of dollars are being stolen from the budget, buildings are being stolen, land is being stolen. Journalists got jobs at Klitschko's strip club and found out that girls were being forced to have sex with clients. Private dances were $20 US, take a girl away for $300 US. Klitschko started off as a member of the mafia, and he still remains one. And let's not forget Klitschko was one of Victoria Nuland's favourites during the US-backed regime change coup in February 2014. How about this of a chilling reminder of the Cold War era, except this isn't history, it's happening right now in 2024. NATO has kicked off its annual nuclear exercise, STEADFAST Noon, and it's nothing short of a provocative muscle flexing on the doorstep of Europe. Let's break down what's really happening here. Over 60 aircraft and 2,000 personnel from 13 NATO countries are engaging in what's essentially a rehearsal for a nuclear war. They're practicing the mechanics of nuclear weapon delivery right in the skies above Britain, Belgium, the Netherlands and over the North Sea. This isn't just a routine drill, it's an aggressive signal aimed directly at Russia. Now consider this, these exercises include simulations of nuclear strikes against Russia. Yes, you heard that right. Without actual weapons, thankfully, but in the intent and the message are clear as day. This comes after a US B-52H bombers, which, let's not forget, are capable of carrying nuclear weapons, have been practicing manoeuvres over Europe, edging closer to Russian borders via Finland. What's NATO's rationale here? Defence? Deterrence? Or is it a dangerous game of brinkmanship that could escalate tensions to a point of no return? Here's what doesn't add up. Provocation over peace. Instead of fostering dialogue or de-escalation, these exercises do the opposite. They stoke the fires of mistrust and fear. In an already volatile global atmosphere, this is akin to playing with matches in a room full of dynamite. And it's also resource misallocation, with the world facing numerous non-military threats. Isn't there better use of resources? 2,000 personnel and countless military assets could be part of a constructive, not destructive endeavours. And then there's the public deception. NATO claims these exercises are routine, but let's call it what it is, a display of power meant to intimidate. It's psychological warfare wrapped in the guise of defence exercises. Let's not overlook the response from Russia. They're not sitting idly by, they're conducting their own nuclear exercises this year. This is a tit-for-tat scenario that only increases the chances of accidental escalation or miscalculation, which could have catastrophic consequences. In conclusion, STEADFAST Noon isn't just a test of readiness, it's a testament on how stuck we are in the old patterns of confrontation. It's time for NATO to rethink its strategy, to prioritise diplomacy over displays of nuclear might. Because in a game of nuclear chicken, there are no winners, only survivors, if we're lucky. But luck shouldn't be what we're counting on for global peace. As we've said on previous shows, About church burnings, the latest reports reveal that over 100 churches or graves are deliberately destroyed each year in Europe. In 100% of the cases, Islamists and anti-Christians are behind these attacks. The German opposition politician likely in the next government of Germany, Friedrich Blackrock Merz, has said, "We don't lack money. There are 2.8 trillion euros in bank accounts of the citizens. We just need to get it as a government." That's another one that has said this. And are they laying the groundwork with the addition of the assets register to steal people's money? Let's watch him.
Auf den deutschen Konten, Sparkonten und laufenden Girokonten liegen 2,8 Billionen Euro. Stellen Sie sich mal einen kurzen Augenblick vor, wir wären in der Lage, davon nur 10% zu mobilisieren mit einem vernünftigen Zinssatz für die öffentliche Infrastruktur in Deutschland, für den Ausbau dessen, was wir in der Bildung, im öffentlichen Sektor, in der gesamten Infrastruktur unseres Landes brauchen. Es fehlt uns nicht an Kapital. Es fehlt uns an den vernünftigen Instrumenten, dieses Kapital so zu mobilisieren, dass es einem gemeinsamen Zweck unseres Landes zugutekommt.
And our favourite activist, Eva, I can't say her last name, from Netherlands, is talking about the Great Replacement Theory. Let's listen to her.
Amsterdam currently consists of 56% migrants. The Hague, 58% migrants. Rotterdam, almost 60% migrants. And of course, most of these immigrants come from non-Christian, non-Western, African and Middle Eastern countries. Conclusion: the Dutch population is already outnumbered in the majority of our cities. But let's look onwards. London, 54% migrants. Again, conclusion: native population outnumbered. Brussels, color me shocked, 70% migrants. Conclusion: native population majorly outnumbered. And other Europeans will of course follow suit soon if they haven't already. So I'm going to draw the forbidden conclusion here. The Great Replacement Theory is no longer a theory, it's reality. And what's interesting about replacement is that the establishment will either deny its existence, or when they admit to it, they say that it's a good thing that the native European population is soon no longer a majority on its own continent. Dutch national disgrace and dubbed climate pope Frans Timmermans already stated in 2015 that diversity is humanity's destiny and that Europe will be diverse. And of course, by now, I think we all know what they mean with the word diversity. It means less white people, less of you. Imagine this in an Asian or an African country. Imagine their leaders rejoicing in the fact that their people will soon no longer be a majority in their own country. Absolutely unthinkable, unimaginable. So what in the world is wrong with our leaders?
Last week there was drama in the so-called European or EU Parliament, more like a rubber stamp body, where Ursula von der Leyen insulted Hungary's PM Viktor Orban. And there were two clips we are now going to watch, one of an EU MEP calling her out and Viktor Orban giving her some real facts. Let's watch these two.
¿Cuántos europeos han votado a von der Leyen? Viene aquí, insulta a Hungría y se va. Que se ha ido del debate. Vergüenza para todos los que apoyaron a Ursula von der Leyen en este Parlamento. Esto no es la casa de la democracia. Esto es la casa de la hipocresía demoníaca. El Estado de Derecho y la separación de poderes están amenazados por gobiernos de izquierdas y populares en toda Europa. En España, el Partido Popular y el Partido Socialista se han repartido los jueces con la complacencia de la Comisión, pero el problema es Hungría. Los gobiernos alemanes han sido los principales aliados de Putin y Sánchez compra gas y petróleo a Rusia como si no hubiera un mañana, pero el problema es Hungría. La Comisión ha entregado la economía europea a la dependencia china, deslocalizando empresas y empleos. Pero el problema es Hungría. En España, la mujer y el hermano del presidente del gobierno están investigados judicialmente, y varios ministros, pero el problema es Hungría. Miren, el discurso del primer ministro Orbán es un soplo de aire fresco en este enrarecido ambiente de este Parlamento. Proteger la inocencia de los niños, asegurar las fronteras, impedir la inmigración masiva, bajar impuestos, defender la familia, el principio de subsidiariedad, la cooperación y las comunidades locales y la competitividad de las empresas. Y es verdad, las mujeres van por la calle más seguras en Budapest que en Bruselas, en París, en Berlín, en Londres o, por desgracia, en Madrid. Si ustedes no fueran tan sectarios, sabrían ver en el gobierno de Hungría una forma de construir una vida buena.
Here's Viktor Orbán. The president of the commission mentioned the number of Russians working in Hungary. This is pure hypocrisy. Last year we issued 3,000 permits. That makes a total of 7,000 Russians working in the country. Mrs. von der Leyen is German. What about Germany, Ms. von der Leyen? There are 300,000 Russians working in Germany. And yet you accuse me? Dear Madam President Perez, there are 100,000 Russians working in Spain. And I'm the one being accused? France, 600,000 Russians are employed. 60,000, sorry. And yet only 7,000 Russians. Is that fair? China has launched a large-scale military exercises around Taiwan aimed at blockading key ports and territories, according to Reuters. Beijing claims this is a warning against separatist actions by pro-independence forces in Taiwan and a necessary move to protect China's sovereignty. These exercises span the Taiwan Strait and areas to the north and south and east of the island, with a Chinese aircraft carrier participating. Chinese ships and aircraft are approaching Taiwan from multiple directions, focusing on patrolling, maritime and air combat readiness, and targeting both sea and land. The goal, according to the PRC command, is to jointly pursue comprehensive superiority. Taiwan has condemned these actions as a blatant provocation and undermines the regional peace, and they are called for emergency meeting in response. Over the past 3 days, the Middle East has witnessed significant and escalating tensions. In northern Gaza, intense Israeli bombardment has resulted in at least 22 casualties as part of Israel's intensive military operations, which included issuing evacuation orders for the area. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, an Israeli strike reported killed 21 individuals, highlighting the broadening scope of the conflict. The region also has seen Hezbollah claiming responsibility for the drone attack in Israel, which injured over 60, including 4 soldiers killed, demonstrating an escalation in cross-border hostilities. Furthermore, the US has become more directly involved by deploying an advanced anti-missile system to Israel, amid reports of rockets being launched from Lebanon towards Tel Aviv. The UN Security Council has expressed concerns over attacks affecting peacekeepers, while Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu has urged UNIFIL to withdraw from combat zones, emphasizing Israel's intent to act in its national interests, despite international reactions. They just do whatever they want. They're a rogue state. Israel has also conducted another horrendous attack on an area full of tents which burnt people alive. So let's see what the State Department says about this attack.
You know, the Washington Post reported, I think yesterday, about the strike against Al-Aqsa Hospital in the middle of Gaza, striking the tents, you know, burning people alive and so on. Now, Israel always says that there are militants, that we never know whether there were or not, but that seems to be a story that is repeated every day. The Gaza people wake up every day to another 100 people dead or something like this. Now, I asked you about this last week, and you said, no, we would never accept this being normalized, but in fact, it is being normalized.
It's not. What happened in that strike was horrifying. We understand the very difficult environment in which Israel operates, but the results of that strike were deeply disturbing. Mm-hmm. We all saw that video, and all know that it's horrifying to see people burned to death. We have made clear our serious concerns about the matter directly to the government of Israel.
Mm-hmm. Is it horrifying enough to be considered a war crime?
So I cannot make that kind of assessment from here. As you know, Saeed, there's a process that we have to go through to assess the facts of the law when it comes to any individual determination.
Yeah, but this seems to be going on every day, day in and day out. And, you know, on the ceasefire talks, Haaretz is reporting that Israel is saying no more talks, no more negotiations. Can you comment on that?
So I cannot confirm what's reported, I assume based on anonymous sources. We have continued to engage with the government of Israel to try and get a ceasefire over the line. As you have heard us say, that requires not just Israel, but Hamas making difficult decisions. And it continues to be the case that Hamas is not at the bargaining table in any kind of a serious way to talk about how we get an agreement.
So you are still saying that if Hamas comes back to the table and they come up with, you know, reasonable, whatever, you know, stance and so on, talks will resume?
Of course they would. We are committed to a ceasefire agreement under the terms that the president laid out on May 31st and that was endorsed by the United Nations Security Council. Absolutely.
Now,
State spokesman Miller also said you cannot defeat an idea through military campaign. Additionally, he says Israel is not changing their behavior, as the US asked them to do, to reduce civilian harm. We have all long made clear that we want to see changes in their behavior. We haven't seen any sufficient changes. Let's hear him.
One of the people the world saw burned alive by the bombing at the Gaza hospital was Shaban al-Dalu, a 19-year-old engineering student who was still attached to an IV drip recovering from a previous bombing. And his story kind of speaks to how this isn't just about one attack. A 19-year-old having to provide for his family, repeatedly displaced, brought to hunger, bombed twice in a matter of days. This is a year and this isn't out of nowhere. So how many more patients burned alive by U.S. bombs?
We don't want to see any.
No,
we don't want to see any.
Well, I guess the U.S. has said, you know, again and again, that no civilian loss is acceptable. 10,000 deaths ago, 20,000 deaths ago, and yet it's continued. So how does this answer mean anything without a policy shift?
It is an incredibly difficult environment that Israel operates in. And I'll just make clear the thing that question leaves out, as often happens, and I understand why, is the burden that Hamas bears. And not just the burden that Hamas bears by hiding behind humans and using humans as civilian shield, but the burden that Hamas bears in not coming back to the table to try to get to a ceasefire. So Israel needs to do more to minimize civilian harm. Hamas needs to stop hiding behind human shields. Both of those things can be true. Both of those things are true. And ultimately, the horrific human toll over the past year is why we continue to push to get to a ceasefire, and why we want to see both sides agree to a ceasefire.
If Hamas is an idea as much as a military force, how is continuing to kill tens of thousands of people already suffering from pre-existing apartheid going to defeat that idea?
We have always made clear that you cannot defeat an idea through a military campaign. You can defeat Hamas's military wing, you can degrade Hamas's capabilities, but there has to be a political path forward for a future in Gaza without Hamas, and we've made that clear for the past year.
And then just to Humera's question earlier on the U.S. asking Israel for a new channel of communication about civilian harm, how has the U.S. and Israel been discussing civilian harm incidents up to this point, and why hasn't it taken a year and at least 42,000 people killed for the U.S. to consider that its approach for relying on Israel to stop hurting civilians is just insufficient?
We have long made clear that we want to see changes in their behavior. We haven't seen sufficient changes, and which is why we continue to press them. And with that, I'm going to wrap for today. Thanks, everyone.
Now to the US presidential election. Currently, Polymarket shows Trump at 57.5% to win, and Harris is at 41.9%. And rumour has it that Trump will be on the Joe Rogan show soon, and that the Harris team has also reached out to Joe about also coming on the show. Those two will be great to watch. Elon Musk has donated nearly $75 million to a political action group, a PAC, that he created to support Donald Trump's presidential campaign, according to the fresh US Federal Election Commission FEC filing. Musk donated $74.9 million to America PAC in the period from July to September, the filing published on Tuesday showed. And Trump on the campaign trail at the Detroit Economic Club said, "We go in, we blow up countries, and then we leave. We've got nothing except dead people all over the place. How on both sides? How stupid are we?" Let's listen and watch him.
They didn't do that either. So we go in, we blow up countries, and then we leave. We got nothing except dead people all over the place on both sides. How stupid are we? That was a Cheney deal and a Bush. How stupid are we? Not just Democrats. It's both. I'm equally angry at both because we have humanity to think about also. You do. You have humanity to think about. And all of these things, they should have never happened. Ukraine should have never happened. October 7th should have never happened. If you had smart people at the White House that knew something, a little bit of something, it wouldn't have happened. Think of the world, how different it would be. You wouldn't have Ukraine, Russia. You wouldn't have had October 7th. You wouldn't have this horrible thing that's going on. You wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had the worst, most embarrassing day in our history. We were leaving Afghanistan. I'm the one that got him down, but I would have kept Bagram. You know why I would have kept Bagram? It was 1 hour away from where China makes its nuclear weapons. 1 hour away. So you see, the ideas and the policy are important, but the most important thing of all is the messenger. Because I could give that same message to a stiff, and it wouldn't resonate at all with the other side. You have to have the right messenger.
A new controversy around Tim Walz about allegations of sexual misconduct from his past involve minors and students during his tenure as a teacher. These accusations range from inappropriate relationships to more severe charges of sexual assault. While these claims circulate widely on social media, it's crucial to approach them with caution, as they currently remain unverified and are often shared in the context that lacks a formal investigation or legal scrutiny. The Harris campaign's reported considering of polling public response on how to handle these allegations adds another layer of political strategy and crisis management to the mix. Let's watch this guy. You've seen him before on our show, and let's watch him and see what he has to say.
Dude, the new October surprise just dropped, and it's pretty awkward for Democrats right now. If you haven't heard the news, I'm about to summarize the allegations being made against Tim Walz for rampant SA against minor students at the schools where he worked. And I say it's getting awkward because we just went through multiple years of believe every victim that accused Trump of literally everything under the sun with very little evidence to corroborate it. And these claims against Walz have not been corroborated yet in a major way, but at the end, you'll see why I think we're about to find out. And personally, I don't think it's looking good for Tim. Now, this story is being broken by DocNet YouTube on X, and this is entirely credit to his work, his ongoing work with child victims, and he's the one that's receiving these emails. He's the one that's publishing them. Go follow him on X. And it started on August 1st of this year when he received an email that said, "Hi, Doc. He was a teacher of mine at Alliance High School in Nebraska." This person said that because of Doc's work with child trafficked children, that's why he reached out to Doc. He says that Walz manipulated him, did unspeakable things to me. I can give you details that nobody else can, including later on specific details about tattoos and scars that Walz apparently has on his body in places that you would only know about if you had been intimate. But we'll get there in a minute, and I'm going to try to make this video at least Instagram friendly, although I'm not going to be posting it to TikTok. So I'm going to let you pause and read between the lines if you want to know all the details that this says. But this kid alleges, not a kid anymore, this is back in the 90s, but they allege they were 14 years old when they met Tim Walz. Then describes what can only be described as grooming in a major way, including being invited to a Indigo Girls concert by his teacher, by his assistant coach. Allegedly, it was just this young boy and Tim Walz at the concert, and then major grooming ensues. Then the spice happens at the end. Overwhelmingly tired from the drinks, maybe, who knows. And then they drive home. And this whole email is like the spicy details about what apparently allegedly happened on the first outing with Tim Walz. I'll summarize it for you. You can screenshot and wait and look if you want, but basically Tim Walz took him to a gay bar allegedly, and then drove him home allegedly, though he doesn't remember that part. And then he sort of comes to while receiving that from Tim, allegedly. And this was just the start of a long, I would continually meet Mr. Walz during 1995. Spent a lot of time with him whenever I could. Can't remember the exact dates. We probably had 10 to 12 sexual encounters. More details to come. The student makes allegations about why Tim Walz was actually fired from his job at that school. And Doc has corroborated in the official records that there's some fishy business about Tim Walz's voluntary leaving of the school, meaning there was like a DUI involved, and the school board voted unanimously 6-0 to kick Tim Walz out. And then just this morning, this alleged victim released a legal statement basically saying that they're going to also go after this whole thing with the full force of the law. They're going to go public. So far, they've just been leaking information to Doc on X. It's going to blow up way bigger than that. Doc just posted this from the accuser this morning. They include that this is one of the students that accompanied Tim Walz and others on his trip to China. When Tim Walz received his DUI, it was after an evening spent with this accuser. This whole paragraph is kind of interesting in its implications, if true. And then here are the special details about Tim Walz's body that you would only know if you had been intimate. And so if these details are true, then yeah. That includes a raised scar on his chest, a Chinese symbol tattoo on his upper thigh, a small scar on his left arm that was more like a soft burn. Yeah, anyways, this is just getting started. It's all breaking day by day by day right now on X, which is where actual news is happening today. If you're not already there, highly recommend you go there because everything else is just reporting about what's happening there.
And here's the latest Diddy update. In a recent development that has rocked the music industry, Sean Diddy Combs faces a fresh wave of legal challenges as 6 new lawsuits have been filed against him, alleged sexual assault. These accusations include claims from a diverse group of individuals, with one of the most unsettling charges coming from the lawsuit involving a 16-year-old boy. These cases filed in New York painted a disturbing picture of the music mogul's alleged misconduct spanning several years. More accusers maintaining anonymity as John and Jane Doe's claim that Combs used his influence and the allure of stardom to lure them into situations where they were assaulted, ranging from lavish parties to more private settings. Combs, a figure known for his significant impact hip-hop through Bad Boy Records, now sees his legacy further complicated by these serious allegations, which he and his legal team deny, labelling them as an attempt to garner publicity and money. This legal battle adds to the ongoing scrutiny over Combs' behaviour following previous charges and lawsuits relating to sexual misconduct and abuse of power. And the first snows have fallen in and just outside Moscow. Let's have a look at this video. Going through a forest with all the snow. Looks very, very beautiful. I suppose that'll be in Belarus soon as well. So it's that time at the end of the show. Let's see what you don't see in Belarus, but what you do see in Western countries. Let's start off with, I think this guy has challenged the UK's Phil the Baby, seen on the last show, for the biggest weirdo, but he still isn't much as a weirdo as Phil. This guy has convinced himself that he's Barbie, but he's more like a horror movie discount doll. Let's have a look. Okay, weird, but not as weird as Phil is the Baby. Let's get on to the next one. We always try to show the latest fashion on this show. And if you want horse feet, these boots will only cost you $2,990. Over in Germany, here is a cultural enricher walking through the traffic with a knife. Germany has become an entirely different country since its open border policy. And another cultural enricher, this time in Italy, wanted to take this woman's purse. But he found out that she's a mixed martial artist. And in the USA, police shot this woman with a knife. This crazy woman attacks the police officer. The police officer was on way too close and shot too late. But he's lucky. Let's watch this.
How are you? Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, back up! Oh, no! Yeah! Oh, yeah! Back up, back up. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Hey, man. I can ask you to do it. Please back up. Oh, yeah. Back up. Oh, yeah. Back up. Back up. Back up. 531 bubble. Single one. Shots fired.
What is your location?
322, apartment 322, 11830, Sunrise Valley. Start medic, please.
And as I always say, you don't see that in Belarus. And that is the end of live show number 88. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Again, apologies for the in-studio guest not turning up. Maybe he will be on the next show. I'm off to hockey Thursday and Saturday nights, so expect some clips on our Telegram and X channels and the videos on Rumble and YouTube channels after that. If you can hit the thumbs up, it'll be great. Please also share the video near and wide and on your social media to help this channel grow. And if you haven't, please subscribe. Hope you liked tonight's show, and we'll be back again on Sunday, so hope you can come back for live show 89. Thanks again. See you on the next show. Bye-bye.
I see that it's wrong. It's wrong because it's like against society.